Yo guys, and welcome back to some more of Darkspore. Quick little tiny update, the game is still not playable yet, but as a reminder, the creature editor is entirely usable. I get a question asked a lot, so I wanted to chuck that out there nice and early. So, for our next creation, I've been thinking, like, kind of humming and hurrying over a couple of ideas, thinking, oh yeah, which champion do I want to work with? I've seen a lot of your suggestions, a lot of more robotic kind of champions actually, which I'm a little bit intimidated by, but I will try them at some point. But first of all, I had a bit of inspiration with BLITZ. Now, this is my Joey BLITZ I showed off a couple of days ago. We're gonna go ahead and just reset him entirely. It's fine, it's no loss. Here is now the original BLITZ in all his wonderful, rather kind of basic glory. And I was looking at it, I was thinking to myself, when I first played a BLITZ back when I played Darkspore, this was my second favourite champion, and I loved using the big spiky parts here and just making it look really large and over the top, and it kind of reminded me of something. What is another creature that we all know of that has very large spiky appendages coming from its entire back? Godzilla. Now, I probably can't make BLITZ look like Godzilla itself, but I would like to go for a Godzilla-inspired type of creation. So, let's go ahead then and just move, like we did last time, or for anyone who's still, you know, kind of new with what Darkspore's about and how the editor differs from Spore. Basically, you can only place a certain amount of parts, and in case what I'm doing is that you can also manipulate any existing parts into rather, probably not very well-known ways. So in my case, you see how the parts are all going down the centre, they're all symmetrical, they're all like in unison. But it works just like Spore, where if I pull them away from the centre, they duplicate, and it gives it a false sense of complexity. It makes it feel like I have more parts than what BLITZ would normally have. So, first things first, of course, is we're going to get some great, big, over-the-top Godzilla spikes all over the place. These are actually the same kind of spikes I would regularly use in Spore using Dark Injection, so it's actually really fitting. So now I'm just trying to get the bit of the right shape for it. As soon as I get an idea for what kind of shape I want, I can then use that for all the other ones. I want it to be a little bit wider, a little bit taller. There we go, that's more like it. Now, of course, that being said, Godzilla does have multiple rows of spikes, and I can't do that. So, of course, it's not going to be completely like Godzilla. I just can't do that, at least not without mods. But for the time being, and just good old, you know, basic Darkspore, we're going to have like a bit of a Godzilla-inspired creation. If I can, I will try to add like another row of dorsal plates running down the centre of its back, as I know that's normally a bit of a key one. But if not, at least for the time being, we will go for this. In fact, I think it should be spread out quite a bit more. There we go, like that. Make those ones there a little bit larger, make that one splay out a lot further back, have them really separated, very large and imposing. We've got one more at the centre up there, and that will be where it transitions from the head. In fact, let's put it right close to the head and do that. Now it looks like a bit more of a transition, because of course with Godzilla's kind of bald. Like if you ever take a look, at least the 2014 version at least the legendary version, if you ever take a look at that particular Godzilla, it's got like all these really big crazy spikes, but his actual head itself it just feels really bald to me compared to the rest of it. Which isn't an issue, I find it kind of funny in a way. So I'm going to try and do the same thing for BLITZ here, but at least have that transition from like a rather smooth looking head into the spikes that we know and love. Right, so that's our row of spikes done, and I'm somewhat happy with that. Not entirely, but somewhat happy with that. Now, I would like the tail to be significantly larger, but there's no way I can actually do that unless I use a part to kind of like artificially extend it. So what I'm going to do is move all the little spiky parts off and away from the tail, and I'm going to grab this piece here. Let's go ahead and make it as long as we can. I'm actually going to move it quite high up along the spine. Normally I'd have it like straight at the tip here, but instead I'm going to have it raised upwards. That way I can make it as large as possible. And if I do that, it just kind of flows a little bit better. Now we have that really ugly bump right there. But what I can do for that is some clever transitioning, just like with the head, how the head is now transitioned to the rest of the spikes. We can kind of try and do the same back here. It's a bit tricky to describe, to be honest. But hopefully you can kind of see what I'm aiming for here, like something like that. There we go. That way it now just looks a little bit less I don't know, chunky, I guess. The tail just looked really strange at first, but now the tail should look significantly larger in general. Okay, now that tail overall looks significantly better. I think that flows much better, and again it just makes the entire body just look a bit larger. And as a result of that kind of strange transition there, we now have two free parts of these. Now a thought just occurred to me, right, is that right now I've only got these two parts right here. Now what I'd like to do is have like the center row of dorsal spikes like I mentioned earlier, but in order to do that, I'm gonna have them mirrored, and then, oh no, I only have two of them, don't I? If I have them symmetrically like this, now I have four. Well, what I could do, got a bit of an idea here. I'm gonna grab a spike. One of the random spikes we just shoved on the shoulders earlier, just for the sake of putting them to the side. And I'm actually gonna make these spikes, let me see, just make them the right shape first before I do anything else. Yep, there we go, that works. And Darkspore actually has the symmetry enabled by default. So now, what I can do is still have my centered row of spikes, but now I'm not limited to them being, you know, snapped on the middle. Because I'm now making them asymmetrical, I can just very carefully place them along the middle and artificially double the amount that I have. This is a thing that I've always really liked about Darkspore. Now, understandably, it was a thing that a lot of people disliked, and I completely understand why, because Darkspore is very limiting. But, that being said though, the limitations really do breed rather creative thought processes and things like this. I'd never really thought to do this if I just had, you know, like the same creative potential that I do in Spore. I actually quite like this. As I mentioned before, it's a bit of a challenge. It really offers, or not offers, it kind of makes you think about things differently. You have to like really work within the confines or the constraints of the editor and the budget, etc. I just like it. There we go. Right, so I know technically speaking with Godzilla, his central row of spikes are a lot larger than the outer ones. Actually, can I do that? I was about to say I can't, but maybe I just should try anyway. Let's make that row there significantly larger. And now if we make the side ones, maybe like just a little bit shorter? Would that give off the vibe a little bit more if I make that one there like really tall? This one here just pulled backwards slightly. Like that. That looks a lot better. Right, yeah, that looks much more like it. Cool, okay. Put that back up there. There we go. It just looks so over the top. I like it though. It just looks so incredibly over the top. And now, to use those spikes we shoved to the side earlier, I will use those. Now, they're not going to be the same kind of, you know, classic Godzilla spikes as the rest of the spine so far, but we can at least still give it some extra spikes just to give like an additional fifth row. We have these feet here. Now, I know this isn't really the most conventional, you know, foot choice, but in a lot of the, you know, in a lot of the various Godzilla movies, he does have like very mammalian features every now and then. Especially, you know, when it's actually like a guy in a suit in those ones. But then again, I think maybe this one will just fit it better. But I feel like that just doesn't seem quite... Actually, no, if I make it that large, it seems a little bit more familiar. I'm a bit torn. I kind of prefer the mammalian one. I'll be honest. I know Godzilla's a reptile. I'm well aware of this. But I do feel like that just suits it a bit better. What about the hands? Can we get any clawed hands here? We can, again, get more mammal ones. I mean, it works. It does work. Now, unfortunately, the weapons, I can't do anything to remove them. So it's just going to be Godzilla with like these random giant appendages. But hey, at least it'll look cool, I guess. I mean, we could go for like at least a little bit of a slightly upgraded one. The difference between these two is that the default ones have like just the two claws here. And one slight upgrade of one has... You can see the difference there, just like one more spike, like where the pinky would be, a couple of bolts, a couple of more armor up here. So now then, what next? What can we adjust next? We can't do much of the face, but I would like to at least try something. What I'd like to do is maybe, I don't know about you guys, but I've always felt like that Godzilla's had like a very classic, like trademark angry scowl. Like his eyebrows are always just like very furrowed. I want to see if I can try and manipulate this spiky part into like some kind of eyebrow. that's a lot thicker than I intended, but that's kind of working though. That's kind of working in a strange way. I'm just going to very slightly tilt the eyes, make them a bit smaller. And do I want to make them like a bit higher up? Maybe up there? I think... What about up here? Because Godzilla's eyes are not particularly close. Oh, that just looks really weird actually. No, okay, maybe we'll leave it default then. It is only meant to be inspired by a Godzilla, not like an actual recreation. So I guess I am getting a bit carried away. But I did at least want to make the eyes or the faces like a little bit more similar, you know? I guess that kind of works there. And then if we grab on the spikes that we were using on the shoulders earlier and kind of pin that next to the eyebrow, the nail down there, it's gonna make like a bit of a random spike there, like a bit of a horn that he doesn't normally have. But I feel like it would just like make the transition just a bit smoother by having that there, as opposed to, you know, like this random tip, like this random little nubbly end here. I think that will look a bit better like that. Cool, right, I'm liking it. Now, what else can we change then? We still have the defense slot, so a bit of armor. Is there like any organic parts here? I don't think there actually is. Okay, I did actually have a bit of a weird thought, and I'm not sure if this will work. But what I'm going to try to do is one of these little spiky parts. How big can I make it? Quite big. I could try and make his legs just a bit thicker. Because Godzilla does have very, very large, thick legs. And I feel like that by comparison, BLITZ has like just these really weirdly thin, lanky legs. So if I can do this, like just add like a bit of musculature to him, like that kind of works actually. Here's what it looks like now, and that's what it looks like without it. I think there's quite a decent difference there, don't you think? And then I'll use the same, another spike on the legs, and I'll do the same thing down here as well. There we go, and that's the difference there. It just makes it ever so slightly larger, and hopefully gives it like a bit of an interesting texture. We won't know until it's textured. But I think that just makes the legs look just a bit better overall. And we still have 2 more spikes on the shoulders to work with. Now, what am I going to do with them too? To be honest, I actually quite like the spikes where they are now. Or, I say that and I immediately have an idea. What about if we just give him giant pecs? It's Godzilla, he's a big muscular boy. I think it just makes sense to just add a bit of that. So right now the body's looking a little bit bare basic. There we go. And then we still have 1 more spike, and we still have the defense slot. Okay, I don't really have a use for the spike anywhere, so I'm going to try and see if I can do the same thing I did with the legs, and just make the upper arms, the biceps, just a little bit larger as well. Let's give that a go. So I want to put it at about where the elbow is, I reckon. And as for comparison, that's what it looks like otherwise. And otherwise, I do believe that is the overall detailing of our Godzilla-inspired BLITZ done. Now, okay, it does look so much chunkier. I actually like it. It just looks much more muscular now. I really, really prefer that. In fact, I kind of want to forego the elbow one here. Or do I? I feel like at the thigh, the hips even, should be much larger to compensate for the rest of the body. That is going to be about spot on. Yeah, I really like that. I really, really like that. Okay, colour scheme. We're not going to be able to make the colours the same. In fact, let's just change all the colours briefly. These are the colours that we can actually effectively change ourselves. So, I could either make this like a really bright cyan or like a bright blue and make it look like Godzilla powering up, or I can just make it all look like a bit dull and a bit more toned back. Let's try this for example. Okay, that I actually really like. I actually really, really like that. Or maybe we get like a very large overpowering colour scheme, something that kind of changes the body a lot more. Okay, so after a fair bit of experimenting around the colour scheme, I did really try to go that plasma blue colour, but it just wasn't really working. The dark red of BLITZ's base was just far too overpowering, so I've conceded and I'm going to go for a bit more of a burning Godzilla theme, and this is what I've come up with in the end, and I gotta say, I really quite like this. Now, if I could, I would remove all the yellow around the body, but because I use all those spiky parts to, you know, like bulk him up a bit and give him some more musculature, it does mean that now those parts are yellow. And I did try to make them darker, but then it made these spikes look a bit cartoonish. And I think this shade right here is a perfect shade for like burning Godzilla dorsal plates. So overall, I like the balance. I really, really like it. And again, it is meant to be like a bit more of an inspired creation. I obviously can't get perfect Godzilla in here. But as a theme, as an idea, I really like it, and it's actually made me think about certain parts that even back when Darkspore was still relevant, certain parts and techniques I never really thought about back then. Overall, yeah, I really like it. And I added a very heavy red tint to the entire top, hoping I'd kind of like offset it a bit and just make it look like a bit more varied in terms of colours. Make it look a bit deeper overall. But yeah, like I said, I really like this. I hope it was a cool idea. I thought it'd be quite interesting, quite unique, and again, I just really like the outcome. There's such a different, like, here you guys go. I'll show you like the default BLITZ and how that normally looks, and then this is how the new one looks like now. I really like it. Let me know what you guys think, and if you got like any more ideas, like maybe any more themes. I had like a lot of suggestions on which Darkspore characters to work on next, but you have any more themes kind of like this? Kind of like challenges in a way. I'd be very interested in that for sure. But that being said, I think we're about done here. So as always, everyone, thank you all so much for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed it. And of course, a huge thanks to my patrons who allow me to keep on doing this. In particular to Annie, Squid, Peekabye, Loki, Frostbite, Speedtig, and Dragon Queen. Thank you all so much, and have a wonderful day. Cheers.